Well, I'm going to do my best to get through this video, and I'm going to do my best to not edit anything and just talk straight from the heart, because this has been very difficult for me. It's been over 2 weeks since I've posted a video, and that's because of Greg and Christina and their family that was killed in Statesville. If it wasn't already obvious from the title of this video, I was longtime friends with Christina. Didn't get a chance to know Greg as well, but since I moved away from North Carolina, but I have just been devastated beyond belief from this. In 2025, the year started off with a terrible accident in DC at an airline that I used to fly for. And matter of fact, I'd flown that exact plane into that exact airport. And obviously that hit me hard, but this has hit me beyond belief. I've never been on this side of the camera when somebody that I knew perished in one of these events. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Christina, some nice things about her life and the great things with her and her family. And then I'm going to go on and talk about the future of this channel and some updates. So I'll go ahead and get started. This has just been absolutely devastating for a lot of people. The first 2 nights, I could not sleep. My friend Mike, who's a pilot who knew Christina even better than I did, I remember that day he called me, and I couldn't answer it. I was, busy helping the kids or something. And then all of a sudden he called twice, and I said, that's weird. Mike never calls me twice. So I pick it up, and it's just, there's silence on the other end. I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know what happened. And he told me, he said, dude, Christina just died in a plane accident. And I just simply couldn't believe it. I clicked on the news, I looked around, and I just was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I knew Christina right after she graduated from USC. She moved back to Charlotte, and we became a really good group of friends there in Charlotte. That I knew her very well. Like, she was always, either at my house or we were going around. A funny thing about her is she was always driving. No matter what we did, she was the driver, and I just thought that was funny. And I have so many good stories about her and her family and what they did. And, honestly, I'm like, I tear up and I choke a little bit because I don't even know what to say. I was just looking through some Instagram posts because I was going to read one, and I already started choking up, and I go, I don't even know if I can do this. And then, it's weird. I go back through our old text messages, they go all the way back to 2013, and I'm reading them, and it's just surreal to sit here and look at somebody that's no longer here for something that's, of all things, a crash in an airplane. And it's just horrible. And it's weird because I'm unable to get behind the camera right now and talk about this as far as like a technical standpoint. And, and I'll get to more of that later. But, I just want to say a couple things about Christina and how good of a person she was. She was just an amazing spirit. She was always happy. She always has a positive attitude. There's stuff I can't share, but there was one time, something that happened that was pretty messed up to her. And I just remember thinking how she handled this incident with class, where I thought, anybody else in this situation would have rightfully done things different. She essentially just was classy about it, turned the other cheek, and just said, I'm not going to put my effort and energy into that. And that was her. She was always nice. She was always fun. She wanted to do things, and she was always generous. When I upgraded, I put this on my community tab on my post, but when I upgraded to captain, I was commuting to Knoxville, and I was living in North Carolina, but my car was out there. So I'd get in, and she would always offer to come pick me up. But she said, if I pick you up, we're going out. We're not just going just to hang out at home. And so, and not that it matters, but I want to make it clear, our relationship was purely platonic the entire time. At least from my standpoint, she was one of the few girls that I could actually genuinely be friends with. And it was just really good, and then later in years in life, I moved away from North Carolina, and she started dating Greg, and then they eventually got married. And, we kind of drifted apart, obviously, but, we still stay in touch on Facebook and stuff. And, that's what I was doing, is reading our last text messages. And, when Greg, this just goes to show you how her and Greg, their life was. Like, they always dedicated some time to help other people. And so when the hurricane came through in October, or maybe it was late September of 2024 through North Carolina, that just ravaged those towns, I think it was Helene, he got his helicopter out. They just were donating supplies, and Greg was out there flying supplies and rescuing people on his own. And so, that was one of the last things I said to her. And I said, this is so cool. I just asked, what was it like there on the ground and how I could help. And, she sent me a bunch of videos to share. And, you know, that was the last time we talked. As I said, we stayed in touch on Facebook. I watched her son was born just after my son. So you know, and that is one of the worst parts about this is obviously every death is tragic, like every single one of those people on the plane. But the fact that I have a 5-year-old son, that I knew Christina and she had a 5-year-old son. I mean, they were only a couple months apart. And I am just, it's keeping me up at night. It's keeping me, I am beside myself thinking about how unfair life is sometimes. And it's horrible. But, you know, thinking of the way what Christina would do is how her and Greg would persevere through hard times and always keep a positive attitude. Like, that's the reminder and the legacy they're going to leave to me, to remember that. And I'm going to read for something there in short in a second. But, you know, I wanted to talk about this channel. I don't kind of know which direction I want to take this channel anymore, if I'm being totally honest. Obviously, the accident reviews get clicks. I have an angle of this accident that I haven't seen out there online anywhere. And I probably could have, you know, monetized this and did, you know, 3 million views and did something crazy. But after watching this, I'm having a different outlook on life and in this channel. And I don't know if I want to do accident reviews anymore. I watch it within 24 hours. Pilot Debrief, Captain Steve, and Blanca Lirio have videos out on this accident. And I'm not knocking them for it. I just want to make that clear. But, you know, all three of them, you know, they read the tail numbers. And I'm just sitting there watching these videos, and I'm just looking at the picture of Christina and Greg and their 2 kids. And I'm thinking, what the hell does the tail matter on this plane? Like, what? It just seems so pointless to me. I'm sitting there and going, what does it matter when these are real lives of people that I knew that are now dead? And, you know, and again, I'm not knocking them. I'm obviously emotionally compromised on this, but, you know, obviously people watch it, you know, it's millions and millions of views across all 3 of those videos. But it makes me think as I watch somebody that I know, I don't think I'm ever going to do a video again, like very quickly after an accident. And I don't care what the monetary incentive is. I'm not going to really jump on it just because, you know, it gets clicks, you know, and especially now that I know somebody that was there, I think that's how we should all be reacting. Of course, everybody wants to know. And I'm not saying that there's not a place there for that. I mean, maybe Blanca Lirio or Captain Steve come up with an angle very quickly, and then all of a sudden now that saves lives because somebody else figured out a problem with, you know, the door latch that was flying off and the suitcase came and that was caused a problem. Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying for me personally, I would love to take this channel in a different direction now, but I really don't know. You know, and while I'm talking about that, I feel like I've gotten over my head on these sponsors. It sounded like a good idea, so I'm going to try and walk those back too. But I've signed contracts now, and I have to finish these ones out. So there, you know, will be in other videos. There'll be sponsors coming along. So I don't know where I'm going to take this channel, but it's just, I'm devastated looking at that video, watching everything. I can't believe it. I mean, they were configured. I pulled up the Google Maps right when it happened. As far as I know, they were configured. They had their gear down. And I mean, they just came up short. And it's just such a tragedy that you make it all the way back to the airport. And that's where it happens. I mean, my friend Mike had said she had just asked, oh, do you know any good pilots? And again, it's just sad. I don't know what else to say. And I want to end with a video that she shared on Instagram. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that they spent alive on earth, and now only those who love them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love, and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read, with your life's actions to rehash. Would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent yours?
You call me out upon the waters, the great unknown, where feet may fail. And there I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep, my faith will stand. My soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours. You are mine.
Okay, you ready? We're gonna do this thing where we're gonna play rock, paper, scissors, and whoever loses has to clap when the plane lands.
Clap. Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Are you excited?
Oh yeah.
We're about to land.
I know. I can't wait. Oh, look at the White House.